Once upon a time, somewhere in San Diego, during the late 80s, my father unexpectedly met my mother. When I say unexpectedly, I say this not because my father felt blessed that a woman with such beauty and grace was enthralled with him. I say this because as my parents became closer, my mother revealed to him that she in fact was not a mortal woman at all. She told my father that she was actually a fairy. My mother wasn't just any fairy. She was actually the ruling queen of all the fairy kingdom. Now my father found this humorous, as well as pretty hard to believe because fairies, really? He loved my mother so much that he just played along. As time passed, he became a little bit more curious of the tales that she shared with him, simply because he noticed a lot about my mother was far from normal, if you will. In the beginning of October of 1988, my mother fell pregnant with me. My parents weren't exactly trying, but clearly they weren't not trying. I mean, obviously I wasn't there, but I would assume a queen would be heavily guarded, watched, and protected. So I'm curious as to how it's even possible for my mom to sneak around with my father. Remind me to ask her about this. Okay, sorry, back to the story. So currently in 2021, it's not unheard of at all for a fairy and a human to mate. But in the 80s, this was obscure, inconceivable, and even a bit obscene, to say the least. Because the fairy kingdom looked at mating with humans this way, my parents were afraid of what would happen when all the fae found out that their queen would soon give birth to a human child. My parents decided that in order to keep me safe, they would switch me at birth with a random human child. My mother chose a random single mother to do this to, without looking much into who this single mother actually was. My parents agreed to switch her newborn and me at birth, and my father would stay with me to ensure my safety as well as make sure I knew who I truly was and that I made my way back to the fairy kingdom to be with my mom on my 18th birthday. After this random single mother gave birth, my mom switched her child with me. So technically this will make me a changeling. I know this term is more along the lines of European folklore, but I'm just using this term so I can be as clear as possible. So as the single mother, let's give her a name actually. How about Eleanor? Okay, so as Eleanor was sleeping, my mother flew into her hospital room and sprinkled fairy dust onto her head. This was to make her believe that she wasn't single at all. In fact, this was to make her believe that she was married to my father. So let's fast forward to my childhood. My childhood was very rough. It wasn't rough only because Eleanor was overwhelmingly evil and bipolar. My childhood was rough because my father, on my 6th birthday, left me with her. He could no longer tolerate Eleanor. When I say Eleanor was evil, evil is not even a strong enough word to describe the things that she would do to us. If you were to look up the word bipolar in a Merriam-Webster, not the website, you have to find an original textbook. Now, if you get your hands onto this dictionary, go ahead and open it up to the word bipolar. There you will find a picture of Eleanor's face. Now, I know you're probably wondering why my father didn't just take me with him. At that time, my father wasn't very financially stable, so he knew a judge would not grant him full custody of me. So he left. Actually, now looking back, I remember very vividly in my mind that day. I even helped him pack. He told me when I turned 18 to find him. As I got older, I began to notice something was a bit off about me. I was definitely very different than everyone else. When I say different, I don't mean like in a hipster, I'm not basic kind of way. I mean, it was very difficult for me to form lasting human connections. Yes, I always had a handful of friends, but it was never truly authentic. You know, like that Hollywood portrayal of friendship? I never had that. I was always very drawn to nature, animals, creation overall. I also always had these reoccurring, I guess you can call them nightmares, every night. The last day was a little bit different. Good morning, bud. Did you have nice dreams?
Yeah. I have nice dreams.
Yeah.
What is this doing, Mom?